Welcome to another episode of our Take in 10, a podcast where we give you our take on marketing insights, knowledge, and inspirational brand stories across Africa in under 10 minutes. We're your hosts. I'm Mufaya Lungu Kapesa, founder of Wild Mint Branding, and this is
Natasha Mwanza, founder of Heroic Digital. If you like this episode, please don't forget to comment, like, and share with a friend. Without further ado, here's our take in 10.
On this week's episode, we're talking about what it takes to build a successful brand. So we both did some research, or we came up with our top 3 tips on what you can do to build a brand. So what was your first tip?
Brand purpose. You should know why you're doing what you're doing.
Okay.
Because every successful brand has a purpose behind what they're doing.
Yeah.
And there's this principle called like the Golden Circle by Simon Sinek, where he says, what are your products and services? How are you differentiating yourself? And why are you doing what you're doing? Because at the end of the day, the consumer has evolved. They don't buy what you do, but they buy why you're doing something. So what's your purpose behind waking up every morning as a brand and solving pain points for your customers? What's the purpose behind it? Because if you have a purpose, you sort of have a blueprint for going out there and helping people.
Interestingly enough, that was my first point as well. So my first point was having a strong brand purpose. If you have or carefully define what your purpose is, it's so much easier to know what things align with your brand and what doesn't. I think a lot of times we see so many, especially with small to medium-sized businesses, where you don't have like a clearly defined marketing department and all the other documents that sort of like guide your marketing. So like a brand strategy and whatnot. So if you don't have a clearly defined purpose that goes beyond like making products and services and selling those for a profit, it's very hard for you to differentiate yourself from other companies and your competitors, and also to, streamline like your marketing efforts where you only, you stand for certain things and you only do those things.
Otherwise, if you don't have a purpose, what's that saying in Bemba?
Ukuselela ukwawo yomwela or something. Exactly.
So exactly. Like whatever is trending, that's where you go.
You go. Umwela wa yuku, your brand also, even as we do this,
Even as us as individuals, as human beings, if you don't know what you want in life, you'll be all over the place. And the same principle applies to your business. You need to know why you're doing something. And then if you know why you're doing something, you'll be passionate, you love what you do, and to actually create a brand that people love. I don't know if you have any examples of brands.
I will give you one of the examples that I have seen that's executing this really well is Vida a Cafe, whose brand purpose is passion for their people. So for instance, when you get your coffee, their people is their purpose. So when you get your coffee, there's a part on the cup that is sort of dedicated to appreciating the barista who made your coffee. So it will be like, oh, this cup of coffee was made by Wezi, for instance, because they believe like their people and the passion in their brand is driven by their people. You know what I mean? It's not the coffee and everything else, even though the coffee is amazing. But it's not that. It's the people behind it. That's their purpose for their brand. And if you look at how this is also communicated like on their social media, you'll find they use a lot of imagery with people in them, whether this is their baristas who they actually call passionistas on their website, because again, it's the people aspect that's driving the purpose of the brand. And they have like the customers and baristas. It's very people centric, in the imagery that they use as well.
So I think sort of like you can feel their brand. So which goes to when like, guys, a brand is not your logo, it's not your colors. But
it's not the aesthetics alone.
It's the associations around your brand.
It's a lot of different moving parts actually. So one of those, I think, if you're going to start to think of how do I build a brand that's,
That people love.
that stands out, I think the first step is to define the purpose. Okay, so my next point was going to be building brand experiences around your brand. So this one's really close to my heart because I've seen so many people on social media, especially, with now Instagram having, helping a lot of SMEs build their brands online. You find a lot of people have aesthetically pleasing brands on Instagram. But immediately, once you move past the awareness stage and now you're interested in buying or purchasing whatever, whether it's a service or a product, the experience just falls flat. Meanwhile, that page looks so amazing. And that's the thing that we don't get is a brand is so much more than the logo and the colors you pick and the look and feel of your page. It drives all the way through to the experience from awareness all the way to purchase. You have to consider things like emotions. If your brand is an exciting brand, make sure at every point, whether this is through the copy, through the captions, through how you greet them, it has to be exciting. It has to be, exciting all the way through. You can't then pick up the phone and be like, hello? No, if you're an exciting brand, be like, hey,
how are you doing?
Exactly.
This brand, this business.
Yeah.
And then also a key one, another point is know your customer. So do your research. Do your research. Who is your audience? What are their interests? What do they like? What are their pain points? And then if you know your audience, you'll be able to know how to communicate to them. How to provide like a great experience.
Customer experience. Exactly.
A great customer experience. Because even the consumer now has evolved. When you think of Trade Kings, when was the last time you saw a detergent advert saying, oh, tough on stains, and it's gone. It's now when you see adverts that have you see maybe a family singing, having a great time. So and their key messaging with Trade Kings is improving lives. And you sort of see that even in their communication, how there are different touch points of the consumer's journey. Because the consumer has evolved. We're millennials, and also generations. They were all about why are you doing what you're doing? It's not about what you're selling, but why are you doing what you're doing? And it's improving life. So you see a family singing, dancing, aloha. So you sort of see that. So know your audience. And if you know your audience, you'll be able to communicate well and provide that good experience, which touches on your previous point to say they will associate your brand with how you make them feel.
As Zambians, we don't always appreciate locally made products. We always prefer and have more, I don't know if it's trust in international brands, but Zambian breweries understood this about their target market, and it's only then that they were then able to give them that experience of uncovering a really good lager that everyone was like, oh, it's great. But then when they uncover, they find it's actually the one that you have here locally made. So that was a really good example of understanding your target market and using that understanding and insights and research to drive your communications. But interestingly enough, I saw a tweet by someone who was like, Inimosi. They're like, Inimos, they knew their beer, you know what I mean? And we need more people coming out and be like, nah, this is ours, and that was...
and that's interesting. Remember how we were saying, take away the logo, who you are?
Oh, yeah.
So that person was able to know that, this is Mosi.
Exactly. Perfect example, actually. I read something, I was watching a podcast, actually, and Seth Godin was saying, when you want to think about your brand and how unique it is, and when you talk about brand experiences and purpose and how you are communicating these things to your target market, think about it this way. If we removed your logo and someone walked into your store, just from the music and the way things are laid out and the clothes or whatever product is displayed without your logo, would someone be able to tell that I've walked into Woolies, or I've walked into Nando's, or I've walked into Mangishido? One of my favorite brands, by the way.
Yeah, shout out.
Shout out to Mangishido. So yeah, if you walk into a store and you strip away all the things that identify you, like your logo and your name, would someone be able to say, this is a Mangishido piece? This is a Nando's store, just looking at the interior of the place.
Yeah. I think a final point for me is clearly outline your benefits, but at the same time, tell your story. Because at the end of the day, you can outline your benefits, but as we have mentioned earlier, like the consumer has evolved. It's more about why you're doing something rather than what you're selling. Then even as a smaller brand, you'll be able to stand out amongst the bigger brands. So in summary, brand purpose, brand associations, brand experiences, knowing your target market. What was outlining what differentiates you.
Yeah,
because that solely belongs to you.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I guess that's a wrap for this episode.
So that's it from us for this week's episode. We would love to hear what your take is in the comment section below. Ziko Mokwambili, and until next time, bye for now.